Yo.
What up? What up?
Yo, what up, bro?
What up, man?
This night is taking all kinds of crazy turns.
I feel like I got here about 10 hours ago.
You did, bro. And we've been over here. We got stood up. We over here waiting for our date. Who never showed up in this bitch.
And he won't listen. But I'm gonna fuck with him later.
We definitely have to.
For those of y'all don't know, we had a guest planned for today. Actually, he invited himself, and then he
sure did.
And then he pulled out.
Typical cop. Just show up. Don't nobody want you here, bro.
Maybe next time. Welcome back, everybody. Carbon Footprint Podcast. He is Juan and I'm Sean. And every week we get together, have a few drinks, and talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit him with a drink of the day.
Yo, well, for you is an understatement. For me right now, your boy is feeling fantastic. We on this. We officially dubbing this the Sean Island Iced Tea, right? It's gotta be Sean Island Iced Tea. Let's go.
Let's go.
Sean came through with let's go. This shit is the belle of the South right now, bro. Sean, we took a little spin on a sweet tea, but put a little Sean twist to it. So we got this Noble Oak bourbon. So do a shot of that, a little shot and a half. Then we did half a shot of agave syrup.
Yep.
Half a shot of
what is that shit called? Lemon something?
Limoncello.
There it is.
So limoncello. So go find some limoncello. Yo, and we did it with two different limoncellos. We had it. I can't remember the name of it, but I brought that one back from Italy, and then another one we had that a friend made, like literally homemade limoncello, which is the one we're using in this one that slaps. That one's fire. So half a shot of limoncello, half a shot of agave, a full shot of the Noble Oak bourbon, and then we did a lime wedge as the garnish, and then you couldn't squeeze a lemon wedge, and you could squeeze or not squeeze it, but we found that not squeezing it makes it taste better.
No,
we squeezed it, bro. I've had so many, I don't know no more. We've had so many different variations.
Yo,
ignore me.
For those of y'all who turn me down a little bit, man. I feel like I'm high in there.
There you go.
So for those of y'all who always think that we do like complex drinks, this one is not. So if you first of all, if you like iced tea, do this one. Juan and I kind of like the sweetness of drinks, so we added the agave syrup. But if you don't like it sweet, don't add the agave syrup. So we use the unsweetened brewed iced tea. I forgot what the brand was, but you can find them all over the place.
Oh, it's a Peaks, whatever Peaks. It's like a really common Gold Peak. Yeah. It's like the real common one. Yeah.
Yep.
It's good. It's a really good.
Yeah. So the half a shot of agave. If you like it sweet, half a shot of agave syrup. If you don't like it, leave it out. Half a shot of the what's it called? Lemon what? Limoncello. Full shot of the bourbon. We chose to use what the hell is this shit called? Noble what?
Noble Oak, man.
Noble Oak, and it's good straight too. We tried that.
Good, real good.
Throw it in
first time.
Yeah, throw it in the glass with some ice, and then a lemon wedge. Squeeze lemon wedge in there, and it's just good.
Yo, it was great, man. And you say you topped it off with the iced tea or with the unsweetened iced tea.
Unsweetened iced tea, yep.
So good, man. So yeah, try that out, man. We'll put it on the IG, the recipe. So
yeah, it's definitely not hard to make, so that's good.
Not at all. No, it's really good, and it's a cool, like, nice southern spring, like, kickoff. Like, it's like you can kick these back. Like, I'm afraid of the damage this would do. Like, if we had a Saturday where we're out here, or like, you know how we do the fight nights, and we just be sitting here for 3-4 hours, just like, oh yeah, mix this. This is one of those drinks that I feel like is gonna sneak up on you because it goes down so nice.
Yep.
Like, yeah. So be careful, man.
Yeah, definitely be careful. But it's a good spring drink, and iced tea is big in the South.
Oh yeah.
So
gotta pay homage.
If you like some iced tea, hit this up. This one hits right.
Yeah, have your grandmother throw in 6 pounds of sugar. And maybe make you a fresh batch.
Dude, I have a friend, but I consider them family. They make this lemonade. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, the first time that she told me how she makes it, I was like, "Yo, that's like diabetes."
It is in a cup, right?
And it was like, and I'm gonna get the recipe wrong, so don't quote me on this. But she was like, "Oh, I squeezed like whatever, like 6 lemons into a thing, and then I put like 5 cups of sugar."
And you realize 5 cups is literally the size of the entire container.
And she's like, and just top it off with water. But I've tried
Top it off.
I've tried like the mix, and when she makes it, it's phenomenal.
Of course it is, bro. It's just sugar, bro. It's 17 pounds of sugar,
yeah,
bro.
It's phenomenal, man. But yeah, so be careful with this one. And but it does hit.
It hits fire. Dude, my grandmother would do that all the time. My grandmother would take Tang, and remember the powder juice? I don't even know that's a thing anymore, but you put the powder in the water.
Yeah, the Tang shit.
Yo, my grandmother would take the entire container, like think of the normal size Tang, and put it in like a regular size pitcher, bro. Like maybe it's a little bit more than 64 ounces. Back then, I didn't do this math, but like thinking back about it as an adult, she would literally empty out the entire Tang container and stir it up, and this shit was puckery as fuck. But it slapped, bro. And my grandmother had diabetes, so go figure. But this shit was so good, bro.
My grandmother used to put like a pound of sugar inside of coffee and give it to us before we went to school.
You were 12 and shit.
It was before that, bro.
Before that.
Put a fucking piece of cheese on the side. She put the coffee, and then she would put the sugar in it for us. Oh my! And it was like
it's your Puerto Rican grandmother, ain't it?
Oh
bro?
yeah,
yeah. The cheese, I never understood that, bro.
Me neither.
Puerto Rican do the cheese or like the piece of bread, the toast, or the bread with the cheese.
Yes. Or she would bring out the Keebler crackers, the one in the green can.
Oh yeah, the one that everybody got the can with the sewing kits and shit inside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But put the butter on the crackers, and I used to dip the crackers into the coffee. Oof.
That the coffee with the dip.
Yeah, shit is
but I
delicious.
never understood the fucking the
10 pounds of sugar.
10 pounds of sugar, or you said something before that, bro.
The cheese was it
cheese. The cheese and coffee. That shit should not go together, bro.
No.
Cheese and coffee? Like
I don't like it, but you know what's funny? My wife likes it.
no, it's a staple, bro.
Yeah.
You go to Puerto Rico, that shit is like a menu item where it'd be like cheese and coffee. Like if you go to a
Really?
cafe or something. Yeah, but even here, bro, if you go to like the place by you, I think it's Taínos, which
Yeah.
I have one by me too.
Yep.
I love Taínos. But I'm pretty sure there's a menu item called like cheese and coffee or whatever, or like toast and
shit.
coffee, or like they have like their variations of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd be like, listen, can I get the coffee without the cheese?
yeah, bro. That like I never understood that because those are two things that to me I don't think of together.
Yep.
Like it's just weird to me. But the crack, I don't even call them Ritz. I don't even know if that saltine crackers. Is that what it is,
dude,
bro. I don't even know what it's called.
Keebler. They're Keebler.
It's Keebler, but there's
Is it like soda
soda
crackers? Some
crackers.
shit like
You're
that,
right.
man,
That's what it is.
Is that what
Soda
it is?
crackers. Yep. And they got that big ass tin can. It's like the Christmas can, the cookie thing that everybody gets. We'll know where that shit come from, where you buy it. We just know that shit show up around the holidays.
Dude, I be taking them, put the butter on them joints, man. Then you gotta get the parquet butter.
Now I gotta do it, bro, because I haven't had it in years, bro. My grandmother used to do that shit all the time. And then you dip it in the coffee.
Yep.
You so right. And then you be like 6 after that shit. and it ain't mad because you bouncing off the wall. Sit your ass down.
My grandma used to be like, "That's why you learn so much."
Yeah. Because you hopped up on the caffeine. You got all kinds of substances in you.
Maybe that's why I'm going wrong with my kids.
Give them coffee and crackers, bro. They'll be fine. What's wrong with this generation, bro? Starbucks don't got enough. They don't got the bustelo and the crackers,
That's
bro.
it, bro.
That's what it is, man. That's what they gotta jump on.
Baby, make the coffee tomorrow for the kids.
Hit them with the La Llave or the bustelo, yo, one time.
All right, everybody. My carbon footprint this week is going out to Mr. Mike Krzyzewski. So for those of you who don't know who he is, college basketball coach for the Duke Blue Devils for the last 42 years.
That long, man.
42 years.
He got hired in 1980. Oh, that's right. Yeah,
In the early
Fuck,
80s, bro.
Man, that feels golly, man.
The early 80s.
I still think 1980, and I think 20 years ago.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I forget.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, man.
It's nuts, man. So this dude has, they just committed to the Final Four this past weekend. He has the most Final Four appearances. And for those of you who don't watch sports, college basketball is about records. However, there is a tournament that happens every March, and it takes the top. How many teams is it? It's in that? Is it
like
100?
60 something? Oh
No,
you mean
it's
total.
128
81,
teams.
yeah,
Right?
128, something like that. Yeah.
So they all play each other, and then it's basically like a one and done. If you lose, you're out. If you win, you stay in, and they just wither it down from 64 games to 32 to 16 to 8 to 4, and in the last game.
Yeah.
So he has the most Final Four appearances. He is the winningest head coach ever. 5 national titles.
So he did get it.
I guess he got it.
Okay.
But the guy also played. He played for West Point. So when I was in when I was in the Marine Corps, I actually spent time up in upstate New York, near West Point, which is like the college for the Army. So he played for them under Bob Knight, of all people. So Bob Knight is another like world famous like head college basketball
Who
coach.
wouldn't have made it in today's game or today's culture society?
Today's culture, right?
No fucking way, bro.
This guy was like loudmouth, would throw chairs.
I didn't like him in general. Even back then, I didn't
Really?
like him. But like obviously like you heard the stories about him being sort of legendary. Yeah. But all the stories I heard about Knight was like him yelling at players, throwing the fucking chair across the court, doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I remember even as like a sports fan in my teens and early 20s going like, yeah, this, like if my kid was playing for this guy, I'd be like, yeah, nah, man, like I'm good. Like you did, he even outdated. I feel like me, who I'm in that weird space where I'm in between like the hard asses and then the like today's kind of thing. Like, yeah, Bob Knight, he would never make it today.
No, today that definitely not.
But you can't sort of take away what he accomplished at that point in time, right? Like, yeah, but legendary.
But you figure, so when he played for Bob Knight, it was in the late 60s. So thinking about Bob Knight and coming from that era,
and he never changed,
right? Yeah. And then he brought it sort of into that space where people were looking at him like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. But there's something to, in my opinion, there's something to that kind of like teaching discipline, that demand for you to perform at a high level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he played for him. What else I got here? This guy was Mike Krzyzewski was an officer in the Army. He also won 3 consecutive gold medals as the head coach.
Yeah, the U.S.
men's team.
And he doesn't even get a medal, which is crazy.
Is that right?
Yeah, the coaches don't get a medal.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, coaching in any of the sports don't get medals. Anything. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Was also an assistant coach for the Dream Team back in like whatever 92 or
who was the head coach
was.
on that? Was it Chuck Daly?
Yes.
Okay, it was Chuck. Okay.
If I remember correctly, it was Chuck Daly.
Yeah, because I do remember Krzyzewski being like one of the, not the second assistant. He was like way down the line. Like,
I don't know what he was, but he was.
But he had NBA players' respects, and it just goes to show how good he was. Like you said, like to coach the last 3 dream teams, quote unquote, like the Team USA's, and to have that command that level of respect as a college coach is very rare at the NBA level. Exactly. And Krzyzewski had everybody's respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of his 42 years, he only had 2 losing seasons.
In his first 2, right?
No, it was like year 3 and 4.
See, because I remember them saying he struggled his first few years. Dude, he was a trash
That's what it was, bro.
Well, I shouldn't even say trash coach. He coached Westgate, which you can only be so good because it's not like Westgate is recruiting like the cream of the crop in basketball.
Where the hell is Westgate?
I mean, not Westgate. Fuck, I'm thinking.
I'm like, is that that's the
West
hotels?
Point. Sorry,
That's the hotels here in
I've
Kissimmee.
had 17 Sean Island iced teas, people.
I'm like, Westgate. Wait a minute, I got a boy that works over there.
Damn it, COVID shut them down. And West Point Academy. I'm sorry. So West Point Academy, which is obviously the military academy, that's where he was a head coach first. And then they hired him at Duke. The guy who hired him at Duke, the AD, had to like convince them to let them hire him because he had a losing record. Of course you do, right? Like at West Point. And then they're like, and then he loses at Duke. He's like,
they don't recruit basketball players.
No, yeah, recruit snipers and shit. So he's like, he did so. And I remember like, and it was probably recently because of all the coverage around him. I was watching something and they were basically like, yo, for the first 5 years at Duke, the boosters were like, why the fuck is he still here?
Oh, wow.
And the AD stuck with him and was like, no, you gotta like. And so the patience paid off, man. Like the guy, I don't know any coach, dude. I can't think of any coach in any sport that coached his team as long as he did. Yeah. I can't think of any. Like none. Like in my lifetime. Like I can't.
It's 42 years, bro.
Dude, one of my first sports.
I've only been alive 47 years.
I'm longer than me, bro. I was born in 86. He's been coaching Duke longer than I've been alive, literally. And then like, dude, I think back to like as a kid and owning sports like t-shirts or jerseys or whatever. I can only remember two things I owned as a kid as far as like sports jerseys were. And I'm talking kid like let's say like middle school, high school age, like as an elementary school kid. And I owned a Vinny Testaverde jersey because I grew up in Jersey and he was the quarterback of the Jets. And
oh my gosh.
And they sold that at like anywhere at that time, right? Like this is when like Starter and Majestic were making
dude, and that wasn't even his first location.
But when he went to the Jets, for some reason, it was like a
he
big
did
deal.
Good. Yeah.
And then I owned a Duke Blue Devils t-shirt. That was it. And I vividly remember that. And the Blue Devils t-shirt I got from one of my uncles. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
So, to continue on with this guy, he's got 68 NBA draft picks. So, over his 42 years, he's contributed 68 NBA draft picks. 42 of those 68 were in the first round.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
So you average almost a first rounder every year you're in the league.
Yeah. So, no, he doesn't. It's not literally not like he
averages.
He averages one first rounder every year that he's played.
That's so hard, man.
I went down a list of I was like, man, like who are the guys that I remember that played for him, that also played in the NBA, and then not all of them did great, but they were either great in the NBA and college, or just great in college. So like Christian Laettner, who played for that first Dream Team. Do you remember that?
Yeah, right. And he hit that crazy shot in for Duke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, dude, I think they went to the Final Four every year that Christian Laettner was there.
So and this was back when players used to stay 3 and 4 years in college.
Correct.
Yeah, like today they do the one and done thing if you're good enough for the NBA.
Right.
Yeah,
so back then he was like this white guy that played basketball and talked shit and was like super confident and you know like wasn't afraid to talk trash to anybody. But you got him, Grant Hill, Jay Williams, who had that horrific accident.
Yeah, the motorcycle accident.
Right. Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett were on the same team. JJ Redick, Elton Brand, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving.
Yo, I forget Jason Tatum was at Duke, man. Wow. Kyrie I knew. Wow.
Right. Kyrie Irving, Austin Rivers, Luol Deng, Seth Curry. Not Steph, Seth.
Yo, it's just crazy because Seth went to Duke and Steph played for Davidson, which is like an unknown. Wow, man. Wow. Which they're both great. Like, they're good. They're both NBA players. Obviously, Steph is going to be an all-time NBA player. Seth isn't, but Seth is still an NBA player, right? Like, yeah.
And there's obviously there's a lot more names to that list, but the real reason, man, why I gave Mike Krzyzewski my compliment of the week was because I go a lot. The reason why, at least myself, and I think plenty of other people admire athletes, is because of the amount of work. It's not just like natural talent; it's the amount of work that you put in, and then to be coached by someone like this, by someone that demands excellence from you day in and day out, like that shit matters throughout your life. So besides the guys that I just named here, it's like Mike Krzyzewski touched so many lives, and I don't know for a fact, but I do know that when you're pushed by somebody to be your best day in and day out, that shit stays with you.
Yeah.
And like, for my life, I can only compare that to being in the Marines, where it was like push, right? Like they push you to limits that you didn't even know that you had. And I can't imagine what it's like to be under like a legendary coach like this, to where he pushes you to be beyond whatever you think you can be. And then how that carries on through the rest of your life and that impact that it makes. Like, that's the shit that I think that really matters. And that's why I gave him the Car Flipper of the Week. Was like, we don't even understand how many lives this guy has touched.
The men he's created, who've started families, who've then mentored their own, whether it's their own kids or people in their community or coaching. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. Like, that goes such a long way, man. Like, dude, to be in the spotlight and doing that for that many years, I can't think of a single controversy. And Duke is one of two teams that you name the team and I immediately think of the head coach. The only other team is the Spurs. Like, I think Spurs, I think Popovich. I don't think Duncan. I don't think Parker first.
Right.
I generally think Popovich and then those guys, right? Duke is the only team in history that I can remember where you go Duke and you immediately think Krzyzewski. Like, he is like over the players. And you know how big of an impact you have to be? Like, you just rattled off, like, I mean, Grant Hill, all-time great. Kyrie Irving is a great player. Like, the Jason Tatum is still doing it. Yeah, like, these guys are still doing it. And the first person I think about is a head coach. Right, like a guy who's like 5'8", and he's like, whatever Mike Krzyzewski is. He's very unassuming. He's got like, it's the impact you have to have on players. Like yeah, man. I think it's uncalculable. Like I don't even know if that's a word, but the impact that he's probably had on like men, and then subsequently the people in those men's lives.
Right.
In that role, man. Like, especially when you're talking about a sport, man, that for a lot of people is their way out. Like, Duke is knocked as like the school that, like, oh yeah, the sort of well-to-do kids get into and whatever. Like, I understand that, but there's also a lot of kids that get into Duke because they do actually require the grades, right? So like in Duke, you've got good grades, but you are also
it's a private school.
It is a private school, and they don't make exceptions. Like, so Duke is very much like the Notre Dame, I would say, of like basketball, where Notre Dame football, I always go like, I got to give them credit for what they accomplished, like to be top 5 in football, right? Because you require actually good grades as opposed to Alabama. Like, they don't care. But like at Duke, you do require this. So you're doing it with kids from all walks of life, right? Like, you might have the occasional kid who, like, this is going to be his family's only way out. Like, he's got to make it in the NBA or get a degree from Duke or whatever that is. Like, it's the pressure of that. And Krzyzewski is just like mastered this art of taking these kids with these massive egos that you sort of like, from like 13 up, these kids are hearing about how great they are. And he's able to take these kids and sort of make them selfless and put them into his program and then turn them into men, man. Like, I think that's so underrated, where you coach kids and they leave your program and you very rarely hear of a kid who went from Duke who's like getting arrested or ends up like homeless or does like
that's the thing, man. You just don't hear about.
You just don't hear about him. And I'm sure there's an exception to the rule. Absolutely. Yep. But like, yeah, like you said, like the impact that he's had on raising young men is unsurmountable, man. I don't know that we could ever like quantify that, like in any way, man. Like, I don't know.
And even the guys that didn't make it to the NBA, right? Like, just
his entire team this year. There's one kid on that team that I think is an NBA talent.
Is that right? Who?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, Bonchero. And actually, there might be two. It's Bonchero and the other one. God, I can't think of his name right now.
You know what? I'm thinking about the North Carolina guys. You know what? I don't know anybody.
North Carolina might have two. I think the center and RJ. There's another Davis on that team, not RJ. There's a Davis on North Carolina who's like, I think it is RJ Davis. Who is going to be a lottery pick, probably. But Duke now has you, and actually that's another point, man. Is we're leaving out of this like the way the college game has sort of evolved, right? Like in the '80s, the guys played 3 or 4 years, right? Like that means you had 3 or 4 years of like Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler and all that, like North Carolina did,
Right.
When it turned into sort of the one and done era, which is the one we're in now and have been for like the last 2 decades, like if you're good enough to be in the NBA, you do 1 year in high school or in college, and then you're gone.
And like you said that the last 2 decades, realistically, there's only been a few programs that have been doing it the last 2 decades. I think the schools like Duke kind of came on really late,
Yeah.
with accepting that.
Yeah, well, and then once he accepted that and was able to like sort of like Calipari like accepted it right out of the gate. Like John Calipari was one of the few at Kentucky where he just went like, I'm just gonna stack a team with a bunch of freshmen
Every year.
and he's embraced it, and he's gotten a title every decade or whatever out of it, which is pretty good. Like Krzyzewski, like you said, got onto it late, but did embrace it. And I think part of staying sort of relevant and keep that winning culture is like the same thing that sort of Nick Saban has. Is Nick Saban has been sort of like maybe reluctant initially, but then was smart enough to go, oh, this is the sort of era we're in now. I better adapt or die. Like all the
Adapt
greats,
or
bro.
die,
Adapt or
baby.
die, bro.
Let's go.
Like, and Krzyzewski did that, man. Shout out. Dude, I felt it's the first game I've ever watched. Like I watched it 2 games on Saturday, and I was looking at Krzyzewski and I was telling my brother, man, like you can tell he cares. Like he really wants this game. Like I've never seen him show so much emotion during a game where he's like celebrating or
He was like looking mad when he came into the game.
Yeah. He was locked in, and I was like, man, you can tell he really wants this. Like he wants this last hurrah. He wants this last. Like he was so fired up that I thought, man, if he loses this, does he go like, I'm coming back one more time? Like he was that fired up, and I was rooting for him so hard, man. I wanted him to win because I wanted that national title game, man. Like how cool would it have been for him to get a chance to walk off as a national champ? Like there's very few people that I feel like are deserving of that in sports. And we've been lucky enough to see a few, like the Elways of the world, where they get to sort of walk off of the sunset and all. But like seeing a guy like Mike Krzyzewski, I think, walk off, like no controversy, no thing, like you said, impact so many young men and get that opportunity to win a national title. And you could tell it meant so much to him, because I said I've never seen so much emotion from him during a game, and it made it hard not to want to root for him, man. Like I almost cared less about the game last night because he wasn't involved, man. Like I was like, fuck.
Yeah, no, I didn't, man. But the watching that Duke North Carolina game, which for those of you who don't know, Duke North Carolina in the same division in college basketball, and then so they're sort of like rivals. They've never met in the March Madness tournament,
which is crazy.
Which
I didn't know that until that happened. How that's never happened is crazy.
It's nuts. So he ends up, his last game is in the Final Four against his rival, and he ends up losing. But I still went. It's, again, if you're a fan of Duke, or if you want them to win, you're like, fuck, man, he didn't win. But I go, what a way to go out. Like, you go out in the Final Four in a team that probably shouldn't have been there. They were good.
Right. But no one would have picked Duke to be Final Four other than Mike Krzyzewski, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't count him out because of Mike.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, man, his first game ever, lost to North Carolina. His last game ever at Cameron Indoor, which is Duke's home, lost to North Carolina. And then his last game ever, period. And you could say last game ever, last tournament game ever, last whatever, lost to North Carolina, which I thought was like, obviously he doesn't want to go out that way because it's a bitter rival. But it's like, to go out with those sort of like, just to have that connection all time. I'm sure he would rather be on the winning side of that. But yeah, but it's so cool. Dude, that rivalry is on my, I have this like sports bucket list, and I think I've talked about this on here before. Going to a game of North Carolina Duke, and I don't even care what year it is.
No, and it has to be at Duke, bro.
Yeah, you're right. It has to be, bro.
With the way the fans are, the student section and everything.
And it's on my list of like, 1 year I'm gonna make it a point to buy tickets and go up and watch a game in Duke. Duke, North Carolina at Duke. Like it's on my list, man. I have this stuff, and I've been lucky enough to like cross out some stuff, but like, that's on my, like, I have to see that live. Like, there's just no way. Like, it's Yankees Red Sox to me. Like, I've seen that live.
Yeah,
like,
it's one of those rivalries where it doesn't matter like how well the teams are doing. it's always a good matchup.
It's always right. Like you said, I don't even care what year it is. They can both be trash, but the energy in that stadium or that arena for those teams, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be such a cool experience. And so like that's like I'm like I have to do that, man. And like, dude, to your point, it's funny, man. I think of like instructors or coaches or teachers or whatever that have had an impact on my life. That at 35, I think about people I had at like 13.
Yep.
And it's funny, man. Like I have a music teacher that I think about all the time who had a massive impact. Like he was he was a fucking psycho. Like this day and age, he's one of those teachers where you're like, yo, he'd be arrested because he would just lose his shit. Like he clearly had some anger management issues. Right. And I remember him being harder on me, like I felt like at times than anybody else. But then I remember having like these weird moments, like one-on-one where he was real soft. Like I don't even say soft, but softer than what he usually be. And there's moments I've had with him in conversations that have stuck with me forever, man. And so, like, when you mentioned that about Mike Krzyzewski, it's funny. You said that I immediately thought of this guy. His name is Mr. Burger, of all things. So shout out Mr. I don't even know if he's still alive, but shout out Mr. Burger. But there's things that, like, he sort of, like, either just drilled into me, or even the belief at the time that he had in something that, like, I felt like I was new at. So you just know Mike Krzyzewski had to have this like massive impact on these kids, man. There's a kid out there who's going like, yo, man, because of Mike, I did XYZ, and it isn't the NBA. Yep. It's like some kid working at like either a regular Joe Schmo 9 to 5, or he's working on Wall Street, or he's whatever it is, man. Like, you know, he's impacted like all gamuts of life, man. Like,
yeah, and I have a few folks like that in my life. I mean, from elementary school, I had a guy. So I went to the Catholic school, and it was a guy, Brother Stephen Casey. And anybody that knows me that knows me from New York probably knows this guy because we were probably in the same school together. But really impactful guy in my life. Even in college, you and I had a similar teacher, or the same teacher, Jack Chambliss.
Yep.
This guy's teachings had a really, really big impact. And then I had multiple people in the Marine Corps that just taught me shit about life that takes you to a different place. You know what I mean? And so I think that, like I said, and that's why I gave him the carbon footprint, was because I go, this dude he was able to push and demand the best of whatever you had for these players. And so I think that he was the, you know, this teacher that just sort of transcended, you know, all teachers that they had previously, and then pushed them into sort of adulthood. And it's just one of those things, man, where you go back, it's like whatever you do, you go back to this teachings of the people that impacted you, and you go, what would they expect? Yeah. Like, what did I learn from them? And then what are the expectations of them and have become expectations of myself, for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, man. Because the person that I'm thinking about was such a crazy like screamer, like would just yell, would berate. I'm talking berate us, bro. And it's funny, man. Like I can remember a few instances of the berate,
right?
But more so than that, I remember the few instances of the soft moments where he was either complimentary or was like you could tell he was proud, but he was always like so hard about stuff. And even as a group, like it wasn't necessarily even me one-on-one, but I just remember like so vividly, man, moments even as a group. Like he was a band teacher for us. It was music, but it was band, and the band that I was in middle school, like the middle school was known for band, so it was like. Obviously not Duke level thing, but like that's why you went to that middle school, and that's what that middle school was known for, was the band it had. Like we would perform at all these crazy events, even corporate events for people. Like, and so he was. The moments that stand out to me the most were these like very human moments of his, where he would compliment you on that one thing, and you'd be like, finally, like fuck, I did something right. And even as a group collectively,
that's your Mike Krzyzewski, bro.
It is, man. It's like I'm telling you, man. To this day, I'm 35 years old. Though I probably haven't seen this guy in 22 years. And I have memories vividly of him berating me, and memories vividly of him going like, "You knocked that out of the park, man. Good job." And then me going, "I go fuck for real."
Yeah. Like, and then he walks away.
And then he walks away. Absolutely, bro. Never wasn't a man of many words.
Don't let it go to your head.
Yep, that's exactly how he was. And bro, and sometimes he will bring that shit up. Like if he complimented you and then you fuck something up like a few minutes later or a day later, he'd be like, "You think you fucking made it?" And he would just go in, bro. And so like, but yeah, again, there's some lessons from him that, man, just stuck forever. And there was an expectation of excellence that I think that stuck with me forever, because he would, like, much like Mike Krzyzewski, he just wouldn't accept anything other than like your best. So if you were half-assing something, he was like, no. And so like I look at Mike Krzyzewski, and like you said, like there's this calm demeanor that Mike Krzyzewski too has that you just go, I want to do right by that guy, like right now. Like I don't want to disappoint him. Like, yeah. And yeah, man, like that guy, dude.
So keeping with college basketball, I mean, the final was on Monday. Kansas ended up winning, which in like historic fashion, right? They were down by 16 points. I think they were down by 15 at the half.
Yeah.
But then they ended up coming back and winning that game. But Hubert Davis is the coach of North Carolina, who's the one that beat Duke and ended up going to the championship. He, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but he kind of made a statement where he was just like, how awesome is this? Like, I'm so proud of my guys and how they fought and all of, you know what I mean? And that, you know, to have a leader that pushes you to your limits, to your best limits. And then even when you lose, to go, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, like, because you weren't expected to make it that far anyway, if you're them. And it's fucking hard, bro. Like, one of the things I will say, the tournament, it's like you said, there's 60-something teams in that tournament.
No, it's what we got to be 120, right?
No, but the people who make the tournament, isn't it only like 68 teams or something, or 60?
I thought it was...
There's 120-something teams in the league, but that make the tournament.
64,
like,
I guess?
Something like that. Yeah, so like, because I know college basketball gets used all the time as the example for college football of why they should expand the playoff. Yep. And I would almost argue the opposite. College basketball proves that even with 60-something teams, the blue bloods get in every time. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like St. Peter's had a cute run.
But this was a phenomenal year, right?
So good. Yeah.
Right? Because
the
they had,
or 16,
because they had a few, like the 15 seed, the 10 seed, the 11 seed. And then when they boiled down to the final four, it's the blue bloods.
Yeah, because then you see St. Peter's just get blown out by like then it's like, all right, cool, it's time for big boy basketball.
Right.
And then the top 4 teams in the country, which again, I feel like the teams that are gonna suffer are that like second tier or whatever, like kind of. But anyway, dude, I watched the game, the Duke game Saturday, thinking I felt so bad for the kids because you can tell initially they were so nervous and obviously there's a nerve that comes from playing in that spotlight. But there's a nerve that comes from playing in that spotlight for a legendary coach who this is his last year, it's year 42, and you could tell initially, and I went, man, I hope they can overcome this. Like, they don't look like it. And then they did. And then they sort of settled down and they played and the game got close. And, you know, whatever, they lost it because they couldn't rebound for shit, to save their life on the offensive side, but like, or their defensive side. But North Carolina grabbed a ton of offensive rebounds. But I remember initially I was watching it with my brother and I'm going, man, like, they just look shook. And I go, you're not designed as an 18-year-old, like I'm thinking, to be in this moment. Like Mike Krzyzewski is 60-something or whatever, 70 years old.
He's like 75
yeah, that's fine. But if you're an 18-year-old kid and you're going, yo, this is a legendary coach, this is last year, we're in the Final Four. Yeah, like you could tell, dude, they were catching passes and like bobbling the ball on like, routine like chest passes, and you're just like, wow, these kids are just, the nerves are getting the best of them, and they finally settled in, and I was glad to see that because then you saw the competitive game. But I was so worried that they were gonna get blown out because I went, yo, this moment's too much for them. Like, they're 18 years old, like, and we forget that. Like, I'm like, these kids are 18, 19. This is too big of a moment for most 18 or 19-year-olds, and to their credit, man, like, they settled in. They hit a couple buckets, which I think got their confidence going. And, all you need is like one fast break. They played great, man. And that game was awesome. And then just like, to see them lose it at the end was heartbreaking because I wanted Krzyzewski to just get that opportunity so much. But, again, the kids from North Carolina, man, they just stepped up. And like you said, Hubert Davis just being proud of his team. And he should be, man. Like, you get that far, these kids work so hard. Like, I think we forget a lot of times, especially when it comes to college. Like, these kids last year were like in high school, like they're living with their parents, and most of these kids are gonna go back to like to be in that spotlight and play at that level. Most people will never comprehend that.
Yep.
And to see them step up, especially in what would they play it in the whatever the
Dude,
New Orleans Dome is right now?
The fucking Superdome, bro.
Yeah, but this has a new name now. I don't know. What
Yeah. It's somebody, some major corporation is.
But there's like what 40,
50,000
50,000 people
It's
fit in that place,
crazy,
man.
bro.
Like that's rough, man. That's a tough environment, and so shout out to those kids, man.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't know where. I knew it was in New Orleans, and I was like, New Orleans has a Superdome. What else do they have?
The Smoothie King Arena is the basketball one.
But that's not.
Don't ask me why I
That's
know
not
that.
where they played.
No, it's not. They played where the Saints play.
Yes, which is a football stadium.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like 50,000 people
It's
fit in there, or more,
nuts.
or way more,
Yes,
whatever.
and
it is.
and good for New Orleans, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
doing that,
Dude.
So Krzyzewski is 75 years old.
75,
75.
dude? Yeah, man. I mean,
He's in that age range where, like, if he dies, you go, oh, like
He lived a good life.
That's normal.
he lived a good life. Like, why are we sad?
Man, that was a long carbon footprint.
It was, bro. It was like that might be the longest carbon footprint in the history of our podcast, bro. But so I want to take it into somebody who's also trying to be legendary and live up to their profession, bro.
What you got?
Yo, I don't know if you heard this week. Do you know who Nancy Crampton Brophy is?
No.
Yo, so she's an author. She writes
Okay.
many books, and she also writes essays and she publishes things online. And she wrote an essay in 2011 called "How to Murder Your Husband." Yeah, and it was a very popular essay published online. Like,
It's a popular essay.
yeah, it was, bro.
I'm scared.
She's 71 years old, and now she's on trial. And guess what she's on trial for?
Killing her husband.
Killing her husband of 27 years.
Yeah.
She's 71, and she is now on trial for murdering her husband.
Surprise, surprise.
Who saw that coming? Nancy is OJ as fuck, bro. She like, how the, bro? She writes romance novels, which makes it even
who
better.
knew?
I couldn't have seen that coming. Nancy, not her, not Nancy. She was so sweet. She wrote these romance novels. Yo, and I was doing the math. I go, yo, her husband of 27 years, but she's 71, I think. Which means she married this dude at like 44?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, bro. Like, is this the second husband, the third, the first? So many questions, bro. How do you get to this point? What didn't he do? Did he leave the seat up?
Listen,
I need to know.
I think when I edit this episode, I'm gonna bleep out her name.
Yo. Why? She can't.
I don't want you yours or my wife to know her name.
Looking her up and trying to get pointers and shit. Bring the smoke. If I get killed by a woman, I deserve to die. If I can't overpower you even in my sleep, I deserve to kill. We were being hella sexist before the podcast. I was anyway. Before the pod, bro. Yo, her husband was a chef, so also, maybe there was some confusion there. But the yo, and if you look at a picture of her, bro, she looks like someone like, I would be pissed if my last days were spent because she
What's her
killed
name?
me, bro. Nancy Crampton Brophy, Brophy. Yo, just put 68-year-old author, and she's the first fucking story that comes up. I promise.
What's her last name?
Brampton or Crampton? Sorry, Crampton, and then dash Brophy. Bro, look at her. Like, if you let her kill you, I'm sorry. She even looks like suspicious, bro. She looks like a crazy broad.
It would help if I could fucking type.
You,
Nope.
I don't know, man. She just
Miami?
is it in Miami? You might be right, but of course it's Florida. Fuck me. No, I thought it was Oregon. No, because he was found dead at the kitchen at Oregon Culinary Institute in Portland with a gunshot wound to his back and another in the chest. But
Oh yeah.
and I think she's just now on trial, but I think his murder was like 3 years ago.
Oh, this ain't good.
What?
So I looked up Nancy.
Oh boy.
I probably spelled this wrong. Nancy Crampton and then Portland.
Okay.
Right. The first thing that comes up is cum shots. 2 likes. Whole is hot ebony Asian and boys guys. I don't know. That shit was like a fucking hodgepodge of like porn searches.
Yo, it is not safe to search shit because porn comes up on everything, bro. I'd be petrified the Google shit like in front of my kids when they're like, "What about?" And I'm like, there's a porn for that, bro. Like, what's the largest whale? And I'm gonna get some whale dick. I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this right now. But anyway, bro, she just doesn't look like someone who should be capable of murdering you. Not as a grown man. I guess if her man is also 71.
She's in her 70s?
She's 71, bro.
Why at that age would you consider killing your spouse?
Why not?
I guess not. I guess so.
What are you gonna do? Put you in jail for life? You like, bro, everything hurt. I've been thinking about this shit since 42.
You know, the other thing, bro, is that I don't know for a fact, but I wonder if, like, when you're in your 70s, other than maybe some like ailments, right, where you feel like, oh, like my back hurts, or I have this, sciatica pain or whatever, do you think and feel differently than when you were 40 or 35?
I mean, the dementia might get you there. But I would presume so, yeah.
I have to ask my mother.
Yeah, like you have to have. Yeah, I'd be curious, man. It'd be because I would say I don't think the same that I thought even at 30, like 5 years later, like 35. At 35, I feel like it's funny, man. I have, and maybe I can take it back a couple years before that, but I have things that I can think of now that I, 30 or even 28, I would have had like the complete opposite opinion of. Okay. And not much has changed in terms of like data, but I just feel differently about those things.
Ah, okay.
So like you like, I don't know.
I don't even remember when I was 30.
You got you got a whole head start again above me, man. You're like 12 years older than me, 10 years older than me.
12.
So there isn't anything you can think of in your 30s that you would have been completely adamant either pro or against or just had.
Dude, when I think about my 30s, man, I think about because of how my life was, it was like Marine Corps and then college and then career. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really start my career until sort of like 29, 30.
Okay.
So I wasn't really thinking about sort of like life stuff, if you will, right? Other than like having kids.
Yeah.
I do remember in like my late 20s, like 27 to be exact, of the time when I go like, it wouldn't be so bad to have kids.
It's funny, man, because I think about like when I met you, you were probably early 30s.
Yeah, I was early 30s, yeah.
So you're younger than I am now, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like, I only remember you this way. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
But like, I only remember you this way. And it's funny because I tell people this shit all the time. And I can remember telling this shit to people 10 years ago. Like, nah, Sean's the most disciplined human being I've ever met in my life. Like, as far as like.
I don't even know why you think that.
Maybe because you're more disciplined than me about certain things. But there's definitely like, I don't know, bro. I feel like you exhibit self-control way better than like I could have imagined at that time for myself, right? Like,
I'm so glad you think. It's funny, and it's so weird, and I'm glad that like you and I do this where we'll like tell each other kind of like how we view each other. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you know somebody, and this is for y'all out there, like if you know somebody that is kind of close to you, get their opinions of you, because you would be surprised on how other people view you, and then you'll be like, really?
Yeah.
You see me like that? Like, I'm an asshole.
I'm an asshole. That's so sweet. Dude, because we do this all the time. I was just telling someone, like, even as far as like work goes, we get so numb to the things that are normal to us that when like we forget to showcase it because we think like everybody knows that, or like, and we have this conversation all the time, man. Yep. And they don't. And like, and I was just telling them like, yo, that's normal to you because you do it all the time. Like, and so you just assume that if I know it, everybody knows it, or everybody knows it that way, or everybody knows how to do this. Like, it's so not, man. Like, and I think I lose sight of that so much. And even you, like, you'll remind me about stuff all the time. Like, you, like, just as like, oh, it's not like that. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, I stop and think about it. Like, but
yeah, because you're in management, and then you go like, yo, if the people that you're managing, like, they look to you for stuff, and your leadership matters, and then if you leave, like that shit matters, right? So like, you're their buffer between maybe themselves and then maybe upper management or whatever it is, and that shit matters, because if you leave, then guess what? Then this other person who's above you has to come down and divvy up or give information or give tasks or whatever it is, and the shit is different, man, and it's different the way that the delivery and the way that you deal with them. And for those of you in management, like, that shit really matters, man. So if you fucking take care of your people at your job, like, if you leave, that shit, it matters so much, man.
Oh yeah, bro. It's funny, man, because I've been lucky enough to be around people like that, and you're one of them, of the remove the emotion from the scenario. We were talking about this off the air earlier. Like, there's a handful of people, actually not even, I mean, there's people I can count on one hand that, like, I can think of that I go, I've never seen that person get too emotional, and you're one of those where you just go, yo, just remove the emotion out of it. What are the facts? Like, and I've been lucky enough in my career, like, I work with someone like that, like, and I've worked for someone like that for a long time, and then even seeing you, like, I check myself all the time where I just go, fuck, or I'll text you on some shit or whatever, where it'll be like, because I'm petty as fuck, and I tend to, like, and that comes from like an emotional place, right? But you have this rational reaction to shit a lot of times where I might go, yo, how would Sean react to this shit? Like, okay. And then, and again, to you, that's something so normal.
Yeah, no. To me, I'm going like, why the fuck would he think what am I thinking?
Well, yeah, and then to you would probably look at my thing and go, why would you even think of that, right? Because you're taking facts, right? And I'm going, nah, fuck that. Because I either think of the funny route or the whatever route, but it's all emotion based, right? Like, it's never like accumulate all these facts. And I've gotten better at it over the years, but I've gotten better at it over the years because I've been surrounded by people like you who I've been like, oh yeah, man, I've never seen you. I can't think of a time where I've seen you too high or too low, even at a time where I felt like you should have lost it. Either way, where you should have either been ecstatic or been upset.
You got to tell me off the air when I should have been upset.
I got it for you. I'll let you know.
I'd probably be like, I was really mad.
And I know, but like, as far as showing it, and even like, I've seen you manage people, and I've seen you in scenarios where you should have lost your shit, and maybe behind the scenes you'd have been like, this fucking guy or this fucking girl or whatever, right. But outwardly, like, you kept your cool, right? And you did sort of like the professional thing, or you just handled it in a like a very practical, sort of pragmatic way that removed the emotion. Whereas like, my default is the petty, right? Or like the emotional response. And over the years, I've grown to, again, because of being surrounded by people like you, where I'm just go like, all right, man, like, let me remove the emotion out of it. Like, what are the facts? Let me stick to the facts. And what's the response from there,
dude,
man?
You know what? I was just listening to the latest episode of Brilliant Idiots, and another podcast that I enjoy listening to. But they had a question from, like, I guess from one of their listeners that was like, how do you keep it real in a corporate environment? And they had their takes on it, but as they were doing it, my immediate response in my head was just stick to the facts. Like you can keep it real by just sticking to the facts, because then it just removes all of the emotion out of it. It's like this is what it is, and based on these facts, here's what we should do based on that. And then if somebody else has other ideas around that, then you can accept those, but it just removes the emotion out of it.
Yeah. No, that's accurate as hell, because I would think of even like both of us, and I'll lump myself in there. Like there's definitely been times where, because of how I speak or like the thought process or whatever, like even this, right? Like if somebody listens back to this, they might be like shit, like I'm gonna hire this guy to do like whatever the job is. I think I struggled with that earlier, and I learned to embrace sort of like the uniqueness or whatever that was me, or of like, yeah, I just talk this way or whatever, like later on in life. And so, but I think to your point, it became if you stick to the facts, it doesn't really matter how you say it and all that. If people learn to trust you and sort of like be able to rely on you and all that stuff, then it really doesn't matter how or when you say stuff. And I've been lucky enough, man, and I know that, like I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by like leaders that didn't care how I spoke. They might have been like, yo, man, in this room, you might want to say it this way or whatever. But they never try to change sort of at my core, like, no, keep that, but just sort of like learn how to operate in these sort of rooms and then adapt to that. Yeah. And like, that's a skill in itself, and it'll
like
serve
your
you
audience,
well.
Man.
Exactly, man. Like read the room and then like do that. So I've been lucky enough to do that. But like to your point, the whole keep it real thing, it's like, how are you true to yourself, but then sort of be able to blend in environments that you're not necessarily like built for, I would say, like, right. Like, or like, dude, I would say people who hear us talk on here and then maybe hear us talk at work, or maybe hear us talk at, I don't know, man, our kids, sports event or whatever. Yep. Like we're probably different people. We're the same person at each one, but we sound different at each, like, and at its core. And I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to sort of like, merge the two or three different people together and go, no, it's the same person. It's just that like you adapt. And how do you adapt while not seeming fake, I think is a thing that over time you sort of just get better at, or understand that, hey, you're not fake. You're just learning how to read the room kind of thing. Yep. Like, yeah, I don't even know how I got into that. But.
No, that's good. All right, man, let me hit you up with this story right here, man. We're going to change gears a little bit.
Go ahead. Do it.
This guy calls 911 to report a possible false bag of meth that he received.
Wait, possible false. So does he know it's possibly false?
So this guy bought a bag of meth.
Okay.
And then I guess you smoke it, right? Like I've never done meth, so I don't know. I think you smoke it.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go with that.
So we'll go with that. So he smokes the meth, and then he goes, "Nah, this is not how I'm supposed to feel. This is some bullshit." So this fucker calls 911. He calls 911, and he's like, "Send the police down here because." He calls, call 911. He's like, get the police down here because this fucker sold me some bad meth.
Shut up. Generic meth.
So the cops come down, and then he proceeds to tell them, listen, I've been smoking meth for a while. I got this stuff. This is not the way I'm supposed to feel. Is there a way for you to test it and then get the guy in trouble that I bought it from because he sold me some bad shit?
I can't get my shit together. How the fuck? You gonna call the cops because you're illegal? Somebody did an illegal, right? Like I was trying to illegal, and this other guy didn't illegal, right?
So anyway, this is in Hernan County, which I believe is like on the West Coast. On the West Coast,
yeah,
like north of Tampa, but on the West Coast.
Okay.
So the cops came down. Yo, not for nothing. They tested. So the guy said, "Yo, this is what I was sold." He gave him the bag. He's like, I guess he had like 2 bags of it. They tested it. The shit tested positive for the methamphetamine. Methamphetamine. They arrested him. They arrested him. He had, hold on, let me read this right. He was arrested for possession of methamphetamine.
Oh my God.
2 counts of possession of drug paraphernalia. And $7,000 bond.
Florida, go Florida, bro.
I was like, this motherfucker must have some good shit.
Hell, bro. The meth was so good, he forgot what meth should be like. And he called the cops. You know how, bro, honestly, though, that shit should be illegal.
What?
Like, bro, if you gonna sell me some whack-ass shit or some bootleg, like, don't sell me no Aldi generic-ass version of meth. Like, give me the real meth, bro. I want the name brand, the store brand meth. I feel like you should be able to report that. Like, if you're going to break the law, do it right. You know
So,
what I mean? Like,
if that's the case, man, just make it illegal.
no, yeah, that's a whole nother,
Right?
like,
Put it in the stores.
I don't know. So here's, like, I can make the argument for, like, a lot of drugs. I feel like meth is one of those. Like,
That you can't.
Yeah, because it's like, you don't need to make meth. Like, it doesn't grow. It doesn't, like, do anything. I'm also, on the flip side of that, I'm also the, like, people put in their body whatever the fuck they want to. Like, yeah, who cares? There's a market for it and people are willing to do it. Cool. Put some labels on that bitch and let it ride. Like,
Yeah.
But it's like,
So, what's even better about this story is Hernando County's sheriff's office basically put out a statement, and I paraphrase: they will gladly come out and authenticate any illegal narcotics free of charge.
fucking cops. Of course, bro. He set himself up for that one though, but you can't feel bad, bro. Yo, shout out to you guys, bro. Especially anything you have to refer to by blah 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 county, you know the shit's gonna be wild. Like, I've never heard anything referred to as something county and you hear good stories coming out of that shit. Like, ever, bro. Bro, have you followed the Supreme Court nominee chick at all? Like,
Only saw where
I say chick respectfully, by the way.
Yeah. There's a woman that is being nominated for the Supreme Court justice. This is sort of a vacant spot.
Yep.
And what is her name?
Ketanji Jackson.
Yes. So she's a black woman, and she will be the first, if she gets nominated or if she gets chosen, she will be the first black woman ever on Supreme Court. Right.
Well, yes, first black woman, first ever nominated, first, like, she's yeah, bro. And I think there's only ever been 2 women of color, period. So the other one is Sotomayor, right? I guess is the Puerto Rican lady. Is she Puerto Rican? I think Sotomayor.
I believe so.
Some kind of Latina, like,
Yep.
and then Ketanji Jackson. It's a wild to me that we're still hitting first like that. You know, whatever, a couple hundred years into this.
Dude, I'm not surprised, bro.
I'm not, but it's also just, I guess I am, man. I want to say I'm not, but, like, I guess I am because, bro, like, it's 2022. Like,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
and I hear you. And I think that I'm not surprised. So, because, so I've been doing. So I have one of my 3 sons is doing essentially homeschool. He does virtual school, but the virtual school doesn't teach shit. So it's like my wife and I are helping him with his subjects, and so I have been assigned to history.
okay.
And so I'm going through history with him, and it's just it's a great reminder of how not far removed we are from times of slavery, from times of the beginnings of this country and the things that this country has gone through, and to include slavery, to when this, slavery was sort of made illegal in parts of the country, or sorry, in the entire country, but yet they still were importing slaves. it was like sneaking them in,
Still
right?
consider Caribbean, bro.
It's crazy, bro. And then to even learn, like, after the Emancipation Proclamation, it took 2 to 3 years in some cases for slaves to find out that they were free.
Yeah, because they were like, yeah, nah.
Well, because there's no internet. I mean, there's possibly newspapers, but at the time of when slavery was legal, you, even as a slave owner, if you were teaching your slaves to read, you could be arrested and your slaves could be taken from you.
Fucking,
It's fucking lunatic, bro.
dude, they just made lynching illegal this week or last
That's
week.
what I'm saying, bro. Like, we're just not. I mean, even though it seems like we're so far removed from that, we're actually not.
Sorry, not illegal, a hate crime.
A hate crime.
Which is the most obvious fucking hate crime in the history of hate crime. But
Right.
at least in America. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're not that far removed from it, so I'm just not surprised, bro.
Bro, but like the Ketanji Jackson, like obviously, like again, black woman, Harvard law grad, top of her class at Harvard law, like obviously super well qualified from a constitutional and legal perspective. Like you don't get into Harvard law and get the opportunities that she's had if you're stupid. And I was listening to sort of like and I've tried to make it a point to stay away from politics and news and stuff in general lately, but this one did catch my eye because I'm watching the clips of the senators and, these politicians sort of interviewing her and questioning her, and none of the questions make any sense. Like, like Lindsey Graham is asking her about her like religious, like what is her religious belief? And I loved her fucking response, man. It was so good.
What'd she say?
Because he goes like how important, after asking a series of condescending ass religious questions.
He's the one that walked out, right?
Yeah, no, Ted Cruz walked out.
No, it was. I thought
Was it Graham?
I thought Lindsey Graham walked out.
Maybe he
too.
did. I know Ted Cruz asked some cuck ass questions too,
Okay.
but like, Lindsey Graham asked her like, "Oh, how important is your faith to you?" And her response is so great. She's like, "Yeah, it's very important." And and then she flips it as like, "But as you know, like faith has
Nothing to do with
in the
this.
Constitution and the law and the whole of the law, so it's not going to sort of impede her ability to
Right.
sort of carry out the guy." Which I'm like, it's such a fucking drop the mic answer, but it's also like you're hearing these people, bro. The one lady, Marsha Blackburn, bro, is a I'm not even gonna say the party because it's fucking irrelevant, bro. But she's a senator from Tennessee.
Okay.
Chick is born in Mississippi. She's 69 years old. She'll be 70 in June. She's questioning like Ketanji Jackson. Like she's part of the panel, sort of questioning her and questioning her sort of ability to be able to carry out and sort of carry forth the Constitution. Because that's what you want from a Supreme Court judge, right? Obviously, I know there's politics involved, whatever. Like there's a left and a right. Okay, cool. But then there's also like, are you gonna be sort of like, are you gonna uphold the Constitution of the United States of America? And this Marsha Blackburn is questioning her on that. And she's like super condescending, super thing. And then I look up Marsha Blackburn's background. She has a home economics bachelor's that she got in like
That's
the
a
early
thing?
70s. I didn't even know that was a thing, bro. And I'm like, and you're questioning a Harvard law grad on their ability to be able to sort of like uphold the Constitution of the United States. Like who
And
the
you got into politics, huh?
Yeah, bro.
Wow,
It's like,
good
go
for you.
bake some
Good for
cookies.
you.
How the fuck are you questioning like a Harvard
Dude,
law?
I would love to see her like almost like cross-examine the people that are asking her questions.
Oh, bro, it would.
That would be phenomenal.
I listen, and I don't know shit about Ketanji Jackson's record.
Right.
I don't know anything. I can't defend her thing. I can't whatever. Just based on her ability
On
to
her
keep her
credentials,
shit
bro.
together and her credentials, and then watching that questioning and her not losing her shit, I go, she deserves that job, bro. Because I'd have been like, I'm sorry, what's your degree in, ma'am? Like, did you say home economics? And what? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Go sew a dress. Like, because like, are you kidding me right now, bro? I went to Harvard Law. Like how, she carried herself so and I think it just goes to show, man, this is gonna be all like, as a black woman in the United States in 2022, you still have to be so fucking perfect, bro. Yep. So perfect. And here, like in this scenario, that you have a fucking middle-aged white guy and a middle-aged white woman who have no fucking like no business questioning your credentials, being able to question you in this scenario.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy to me, man, that we just watch this shit and it's entertainment. Like, because I'm going, how are you even allowed, like, to question this lady's ability to carry out this job?
I'm actually curious to see if she did any research on the people that are questioning her.
She's smart enough that I bet you she did. Like, because her responses were just so measured that at a minimum, she had to have known, like, okay, it's all these people, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then to be so prepared and not prepared, right? Because you don't know what they're going to ask you, but you have to assume it's going to be asinine because it's politics.
Right.
And so, like, to be that, bro, there was moments where my face would have just been like, the fuck you just say? Like,
you know I can't hide my face,
oh my
man.
God,
I didn't been giving them the like.
and I was
what the fuck you
so
just asked me?
impressed, bro. But again, I don't know shit about her background or her record on anything and all that stuff. But based on anyone who can keep their cool in that scenario with that kind of pressure, I'm like, yeah, you deserve the job, bro. like you deserve that. Like, I don't like. I'm not gonna, because most of us, going back to the emotional thing earlier, some of the things were so you could tell the questions were designed to get under her skin and sort of derive like an emotional response. And for her to keep her cool and stuff and that, I went, yeah, man, like you can't question that. You can't question her ability to keep cool under pressure, to, like, you know.
And they haven't made a decision yet.
No,
right?
I think it's
still kind of deadlocked or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole shit is just bananas to me, bro.
No, that's crazy. How we doing on time, bro?
Dude, we're an hour 10 in. Who'd have thought?
All right, you got anything else?
We thought we had nothing here besides the fucking guests who never showed up.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get them.
You thought we were in the hood and we called the cops. And they were like, nah.
They're like 911. No,
we don't live here. Why would we go to your... Nah, bro, I think I'm good.
All right, man. Tell them where they can find us.
All right, man. If you are not already following us at the Carbon Fiber Podcast on IG, on Facebook, on a TikTok at Carbon Fiber Podcast, on YouTube, make sure you follow us on there. Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications so that you can get those videos as soon as they come out, and leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. But then we're also on Spotify, Stitcher, Geo7, Ghana. If you have a Tesla, go on your TuneIn app, we're on there. There's literally like nowhere that we're not on, bro. So just go look for us and yeah,
Absolutely.
Keep listening, man. Keep supporting.
Yo, as always, we appreciate you guys. Hit us up on IG. Let us know, what your opinions are. If you got anything different than what we said, we'd love to hear it. We'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Love the feedback, the phone calls, texts that I've been receiving. Just appreciate you guys all around.
Anything crazy, anything wrong? Like, I went to community college. I want people to know that. don't take anything I say seriously.
Yeah, we're not really that smart.
Yeah, we're not really that smart.
All right, and on that, we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.